Hi, Alexis.
Hey, Rachel, how are you going?
I'm going really well, thank you. Yeah, how are you going?
Yeah, I am well. It's starting to look a little bit like Christmas around here. How about
Mhm.
in the Hannum household?
In the Hannah Pennings household, yes, we
Yes.
are all decorated and but today I thought I'd come and sit in my back garden and give you a nice lush green backdrop.
It is gorgeous. It's a
Mm.
beautiful time of year to be outside. Definitely in Brisbane, it's now school holidays and everyone's starting to lighten up. And there was certainly a party atmosphere last night. And that explains why we've been away for the last couple of weeks due to the Christmas party last week at North
Yes.
Brisbane Psychologist. That was really lovely to be there.
That was so much fun.
So fun. And the retreat, which we had some
Mm.
incredible results. I'd just like to congratulate those of you who were on retreat for showing up so authentically and willingly. And I think the bodily changes were really quite unexpected. And I think those of you who have persisted with those changes during the time between retreat and now, you really deserve credit for your continuity. So hopefully we will see some of your faces here. Can you see who's with us at the moment, Rachel?
I can see it's a bit of a challenge being outside. I didn't think of the ants and the mosquitoes.
And the glare too, sometimes.
A bit glary. Um, so we've got Elizabeth and Rebecca. We've got, who else can I see? It's like romper room. Who's in the mirror?
Oh yeah, it helps to know who's on board. We've got a pretty cool topic. In fact, I think this is one of our most taboo topics, wouldn't you say, Rachel? Would you like to introduce it?
Yeah, and Libby's watching too. Hi, Libby.
Really? Yay.
Yeah, look, money's such an interesting topic. It doesn't come up in the therapy room as often as you'd think.
Mm.
And I think that's because it it's one of those topics that's so taboo that people would rather talk about their sex life than their financial situation.
Is that a true statistic?
I have
Wow.
read that in many places. People would rather tell you details of their sex life than details of their bank accounts and
Mm.
financial situation. And I think, there's so much emotion around money. Money goes to such a primal emotional place for
Mhm.
most of us because it's connected with survival. Therefore, it's connected with our fears. It's also connected with our dreams and imagination. So many people, have that conversation. What would you do if you won $10 million?
Mhm.
So it can be so connected with our imagination, our creativity, our aspirations. And it can also be like some of these other very primal topics, sex and religion, it can also be such a source of conflict and, such a source of fear and of pain. So it's a really emotional topic. So it's a wonder that it doesn't come up more often in the
Mhm.
therapy room. But I think, as you said, it's because it's so taboo. People don't even want to start talking about it. They don't want to be prideful. They don't want to feel ashamed.
Mhm.
They play their cards very close to their chest,
Mhm.
whether they have money or whether they lack money. Some people want to be seen to have more than they have. Some people don't want to reveal how much they have.
Yeah.
It's very tricky and deeply emotional stuff.
Mhm. So what I'm hearing is the need to unhook from story. That's the first thing, to be able to cut through any shame around money and actually have a more matter of fact kind of relationship. Uh, what are your thoughts on that as a starting point?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. The question is how? How do we do
How
this
to unhook.
when we all have a complex around money, and a complex is defined. I've got a definition of a complex in Jungian
I'd love to know that.
psychology.
Yeah,
A
please.
complex is an automatic response that we have to a particular issue where our unconscious thoughts and will is bypassed. You'll be familiar with the notion of an inferiority or superiority complex, but we all have a money complex, which means we have unconscious ideas and beliefs around money, which come up automatically because we've been conditioned since we were very young. maybe 3 or 4 years of age by our culture, by our society, and by our parents and friends. And so as always, the way to sort of evaporate some of the shame and fear around money is to become more conscious of your beliefs and feelings and reactions, your complexes around money. And I had a client recently, this is the first time I've ever heard of this, who wrote a letter to money.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And she got it from a book, which I haven't read, called You're a Badass at Making Money by Jenny Sincero. And the idea is to write a letter to money just to get a feeling for what our relationship is like with money and our negative beliefs, thoughts, and feelings around it. And she shares, I'll just read you the first paragraph. She says, "Dear money, I don't know where to start with you. You've been a thorn in my side my entire life. And even though I'd love to blame you for that, I can't. The way I've treated you has been my fault. I haven't taken care of you, and now I'm paying for it. I suppose what I feel is embarrassment. I'm 49 and I still don't feel like I do a very good job with you." And she goes on to write another 5 or 6 paragraphs and ends the letter with, "Money, I look forward to changing my relationship with you." And that letter was in order to get more conscious of her lifelong relationship with money. So I thought that's one way to go about it.
Yes, I have a similar exercise that I'll happily share before the close of today. That, yeah, likewise, it helps us to just bring out and into a more tangible place what's otherwise, as you say, in the complex unconscious. Bringing it out to have a look at it, even in the form of a letter. I find that as a psychotherapeutic tool is probably my primary go-to to start to pull out the pieces of who I am so that I can actually look. And like you say, the fact that I can have a dynamic or a conversation means that that's not all of me, right? It's something else that's able to separate, that's able to observe, that's able to be unbiased, that's able to choose.
Exactly. And if that's not your style, writing a letter or journaling, then maybe just ask yourself, what messages did I get around money growing up? Was I one of the kids who couldn't have the new fashions or the softball lessons or whatever it might have been? So did money get associated with feeling disappointed, with feeling ashamed, with feeling like your aspirations and dreams may never come true? Because I know a lot of people had those experiences and maybe certain negative messages around money, even if they did get the softball lessons and the latest fashions, they may have heard fearful, negative messages around money from the way their parents talked about it, that kind of thing. And now's the time to really look at those earlier kind of learnings, your conditioning, and remember that you can change that. You don't have to live with that for the rest of your life.
And even just bringing it out into the open and talking with friends, talking within safe spaces, talking with your therapist. I've found it actually to be very stirring to discuss it. Certainly with, even in safe places, it's a very triggering topic, as you say. So it probably makes sense to do that where it's an appropriate and suitable thing to do.
And the other place to get some help, if you can afford it at some point in the future, because money can really go into our self-concept, our sense of competence, is to get financial advice and support, whether it's from an accountant or a financial planner or someone like that, because of course most of us didn't learn competence around financial planning and money. Many of us didn't anyway, from our parents. And so I know I've still got some work to do on my self-concept around money, my confidence, because I think many of us have a sort of a lack of confidence. We sort of think, I can do these things around money, but oh my goodness, there's this whole dark continent where it's like, I don't know, this feels like so many things I don't know about it. And I just want to remind everybody that you don't have to learn, but you can learn if you want to. You can increase your skills and confidence around financial management. We all can, especially with the internet these days and really good books on the topic. And
the reality is we all do need to have a relationship with money. I know there are some who really try and separate from it altogether, but I don't know anyone who's managed to do that completely. So we are going to have a relationship with money, a bit as you said earlier before our live stream, Rachel, about our relationship with food. It's a necessity. We actually need these things in our lives. So it warrants our attention.
Yeah. It really, really does, because it's so connected with our relationships and with our earlier lives and with, you know, with everything. And, you know, one of the things that a Buddhist teacher of mine once said is money's energy. You know, I've earned money through expending my energy. And then if I go somewhere and make a donation, which is what happens at the Zen temple, it's an exchange of energy. I'm getting some energy in some form and I'm contributing some energy in some form. And life seems to work like that, with an exchange of energy, you know, whether it's current or historical. When I give my money over or when I receive money, I hope that there's a fair exchange of energy in some way.
That's what I'm hearing as you're speaking, that it represents mutuality, even accountability and sense of worth. And because everybody does have a relationship, I'd be really interested to ask our listeners if they might be willing to consider where in their bodies they experience. I mean, even this conversation is likely to have brought up some sensation, some emotion. Where do you go to when you reflect on your relationship with money? Is it through the center? Is it your shoulders, your head? Is it even in your hands, or is it in your lower body? And I think as a tool for unhooking from needless complication or needless narrative, identifying pure sensation has proved really helpful in being present to our experience, being present to our emotions without the over-personalization. And I think that's perhaps what your Zen master was alluding to when talking about it being energy, you know, that we're in a constant relationship with each other as well, giving and receiving and giving and receiving, and how we do that has a significant role in our wellness, really.
It does. And as you're talking, I'm thinking of the scarcity versus the abundance mentality, and understanding the rhythm of money coming and going, just like the breath coming and going, like so many things in the world coming and going. I can see my cat watching a bird right now, and the bird's just flown away, and the cat's kind of just gone, oh, well, that's gone right now in this moment. And the coming and going of all things, you know, money reminds us of that, not to be too attached. And yet, of course, because it's linked to our survival, that's such a tricky thing. Mia mentions in the comments that when stuff comes up for her around money, she feels it in her stomach and the midsection of her body. I think that's probably quite common, Mia, because, you know, that's where we feel anxiety, fear. And she said her throat. And
yes, they're so intimately linked, these reflex membranes of the gastrointestinal and the breathing apparatus. They're so influenced, through the vagus nerve. Probably there's other aspects as well, but that's really helpful, Mia. Thank you for sharing that.
And Stephanie says she feels it more in her head. So maybe you get a tightness, Steph, in your head. Is that what happens? Sometimes when I feel things in my head, it's like an elastic band around my temples or forehead or something. So perhaps it's like that. Mia, I wanted to ask you, you said this is on par and funny this is being spoken about today. One of the reasons Alexis and I chose this topic today is because Christmas brings up a lot of issues for many people around money. Even if they have the money, it still brings up feelings around spending that money and how much to spend, and issues of mutuality, as you say. Steph says, that's where she feels it. So Mia, I wonder if you could say whether that's the reason that this is relevant for you today. Is it because Christmas is coming up or something else?
Yeah, you're right about that, Rachel. You know, comparison with other family members or siblings, or even, I mean, it's certainly the time when Succession planning comes up, and as family comes to the fore, I can notice in my body a bit of a defensiveness, almost like a need to protect, like an ownership, which is surprising. Given, I don't feel particularly clingy to money, but I can feel it kind of down this outer edge of my arm, which I notice is kind of an armoring up type feeling. I'm going to explore that one.
That's interesting. Yeah, getting your arms ready to kind of defend yourself.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel emotions around money come up in my jaw. What do you make of that, Alexis?
Yes, interesting. Yeah, well, the jaw is, again, a similar kind of, when I work with the jaw, I think the bulldog, right? Just the jaw coming forward, again, is a bit of a protective or an aggressive stance, rather than the herbivores, which tend to let the jaw recede so that the back teeth grind, rather than the fangs coming forward. So, that may be a similar kind of protective or defensive mechanism. I'm wondering if that resonates.
Yeah, something about bracing and getting ready to defend, perhaps.
Yeah.
Jamie says she also gets a tight feeling in her jaw and in her chest around money, and developed very poor money management strategies as a teenager, lots of debt and mindless spending. And the word mindless is interesting. I was just telling Alexis before we got on the call that I had a client this week who, after many sessions, said, I think I need to talk to you about money. And she'd realized she was very unconscious or mindless about her use of money and the way that she'd used food to comfort herself, and quite unconsciously couldn't remember what she'd eaten earlier that day. She couldn't remember what she'd spent money on earlier that day. So money can be like that. It can be a very unconscious or mindless behavior. So making it conscious, even for some people, just writing down their spending, making a very simple budget can, again, make the unconscious conscious. And sometimes that's all that's needed. Sometimes awareness or consciousness is enough to create change and a shift, right?
Has Mia responded to your deeper inquiry, Rachel? Did she get back to us on?
Yeah, she did. I asked why now, and she said, actually, it's because I gained a lot of clarity from the retreat. That's fantastic, Mia. And the clarity's allowed me to see the options that are available to me to help me learn and be better at my finances. So I swallowed my pride and I saw a financial advisor. That's so cool. Make it all conscious and planful. And I have a plan in place, she says. And this is why this is so relevant for her today. Libby says, lots of comments, hang on. Libby says, it's true that there's a feeling of shame talking about money as people often compare. That's true. I feel it in my throat and my back and my neck, the back of my neck. I always feeling like we talk about parenting and other things, but not money. I'm sure we can learn a lot from one another.
Well said, Libby.
Yeah.
Well said. That's so true. How often do we talk about parenting? And yet, money. And I know certainly with a number of my clients, you guys have been willing to talk openly with money. So we've been bringing it into the arena, even as a negotiation, which is something that I was not taught to do. Certainly in my family, money was not spoken about, but there was an expectation that you knew what to do with it and how to handle it. And yet it wasn't really taught or demonstrated openly. So I'm really valuing clients who are willing to go into that grey space. And as I said, I think it does rely on trust and safety. I mean, you and I have had those conversations, and it's been such a fascinating place for us to go to work that out. Even as I'm speaking, I'm like, wow, my words are stopping. And yet, if we can persist and just soften and be okay with that, that has been an invaluable experience for me. Even though it's been scary, I've found it has taken me into a more empowered place and a more, I guess it opens up for sensitivity and vulnerability.
Yeah, that's right. And it really shows you what you're capable of, and it shows you around stuff around boundaries and flexibility,
Yes.
areas of flexibility, areas of, non-negotiables. Like there's almost, in the Gottman method, we draw two concentric circles, and the outside one's called the area of flexibility, and the middle one's called core needs or non-negotiables. And all of us need to figure out, that's just boundaries, right? What's negotiable, what's flexible, and what's just an absolute deal breaker for me. Where's the line? Where's my cutoff? And I think that's very much the case when we think about money. Hey, there's a couple more comments here, Alexis.
Please. Thank you.
Steph says, I swap addictions and overspending is my current addiction. So I've had to have someone look after my finances, making me feel useless. Yeah, Steph, I hear that you're in a real sort of period of trying to manage this transition towards maybe becoming hopefully more empowered in the long run around your relationship with money, and hopefully, learning. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, learning, absolutely. That's such a fascinating description there, Steph, of swapping addictions.
Yes.
That rings true in some level. And again, it goes back to the first comment you made to me, Rachel, about food and money. And it says to me that we potentially have a similar relationship. Perhaps, Steph, if you could put all of your addictive substances, let's say, in one category, it might actually help to see the themes, and then have a conversation with all of them. So it's less about the finicky detail, and it's more about, okay, well, that's not really me. Again, as you say, the boundary.
And the boundary. And Steph has just added another comment, Alexia. She says, to keep relationships going, I feel I need to spend money to keep people liking me. So thank you for clarifying, because we can go into our fight, flight, fawn or freeze responses with money. And that's a fawn response. I'll kind of make people happy by spending money on them. And that's quite common. So certainly don't beat yourself up for that one.
So how would you recommend we go about shifting that fawning, befriending, using money as a tool to try and get people to like us? That's so rich. Thank you for sharing that, Steph.
Yeah, and Libby commented that she's, a couple of people have commented here, they understand. Jamie says overspending is a big one. Be proud that you've identified this. Yes, definitely. So the first crucial step is identifying your patterns. Can't do anything until you've done that very clearly and consciously. One technique we use in schema therapy, which is very simple, is a bit of a pros and cons checklist to see the workability of a behavior. Is it actually really working? What's good about using that strategy to get people to like you, and what's not working about it, or what's not so good? Because normally we can see that in the end, it's not meeting our needs. It's coming out of a fear-based instinct. And I would also recommend that, Steph, if you can, I'll post in the comments that letter that I mentioned, writing a letter to money, just to get really conscious of, the place that money, takes up in your psyche, and perhaps even that would shift something.
I can completely resonate with that, Steph. I'm so pleased you brought that to the arena. I'm reflecting back on a circle that I was spending a lot of time with not that long ago, actually, and same thing, kind of justifying that I was in on the circle through expenditure, and it really didn't feel good, but I was perpetuating a cycle of needing to belong. And one of the best things I could do was to no longer identify with that group, and not that it had to be a major thing, just more of a peeling away, but to surround yourself with people who value you for who you are. And hopefully, you've had the corrective experience of retreat now, and that people do exist who will appreciate you for who you are.
Yep.
What a difference that can make, right?
The corrective experience, absolutely. I've just posted in the comments the writing a letter to money article, which has an example of somebody's letter, so people can have a look at that.
I wonder if we might, with using our last few minutes here, and again, thank you all for engaging so beautifully. The exercise that I've used is super simple, and I've used it with all sorts of topics before. And it's all you need is a single A4 and a pen. And if you fold the page down the middle, and then at the top on one side, you can write money is, and then on the other side you can write money is not. Actually, I'm not sure if you'll see that the right way around, but nevertheless.
I think we can see it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then even just to let it flow onto the page. Oh, okay. So money is, a conduit. Money enables me to do what I need to do. Money helps me put food on the table for my children. Money helps me educate, whatever it might be. Money is, let it flow. And then money is not. And that's just as valid. So money is not a way to make friends. I would encourage you to put, Steph, money is not representation of my, my worth. It may be one aspect. Yeah, it has been a very, very powerful practice. And because I think, again, it's quite matter of fact and it's external, it allows us, as you said too, Rachel, to make a bit more sense of what's happening inside of us.
I like that very much.
If you would like to post anything that you've written on your page at any stage, whether that's now or later on, I'd love to hear how that goes.
Yeah, so lots of inquiries to do around this one, around the nature of our relationship to money. And I think, as the quote suggested in the post I did an hour ago, I might repost the quote in the comments, because it's such a great quote from Hillman around how money is this archetypal thing. And because it's got such positive and negative sides to it, it will forever be a challenge. It'll never be simple and straightforward. That's the nature of something as complex as money. It's a bit like sex. It's a bit like alcohol. It's a bit like food. For many people, those issues will never be simple. And we need to continue to contemplate the nature of our relationship with them, what they are and what they are not in our lives, and how we want to relate to them. And that may be a lifelong project. And that's good, because while we're alive, we need to keep learning how to live.
Yes, we do. That is a beautiful summary. Thanks, Rachel. And even through this conversation, it's helped me to see that, what I think we do when we practice any of these processes, whether it's writing a letter or, what money is to me, what it's not, it helps me to strengthen that part of me that's able to observe the situation, right? So if I can be stronger in that, then I'm no longer caught up or owned or dictated by the complex. There's so many themes across all of our conversations. So thank you so much for your time, Rachel. Is there anything else you would like to touch on money?
I don't think so, but I would love you to, there's so much we could say, but I think that's probably enough of a stimulus today for people to go away and reflect. But I wonder if you would say something about the Christmas Day practice group meetup.
Yeah, thanks, Rachel. So, as many of you know, we meet our nonviolent communication practice group meets here in Graceville at the last Sunday of the month. And we've been doing that for, it must be coming on 16 or 17 months now. And so the group is solid. And we've decided, being the last Sunday of December, that we'll have a practice group here in my living room on Christmas Day. And so those of you who are within the community are invited to come and join. We'll do a very, very gentle and quite an introspective practice. There'll certainly be some sharing, but I don't know about you guys, but personally, I find this period can be a little bit frenetic. So I'm keen to give you some restoration as well. And
Great.
So yeah, that will be, in fact, I'll need to just check the time, but I'll confirm that in the comments.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to seeing you guys.
And there. even though we are a solid core group, we are open and welcoming to newcomers. So if anyone is listening to this and you're interested in learning principles of compassionate communication, as well as contemplative practices, meditation, in a group of people who are mutually supportive and encouraging, then we welcome newcomers, definitely.
Thank you for that reminder, Rachel. Yeah, and what a better day to do nonviolent communication than Christmas Day.
I will try and get there, and apologies if I cannot, but I'll be there in January.
Yeah, great.
Okay.
Well, that's everything from me, and really good to be back into our usual rhythm.
Yes.
So thank you guys for showing up, especially that little bit earlier. And how are we going for over the holidays, Rachel? Are we on next week? What's your
I'm around the whole time. I'm not going anywhere. So my intention at this stage is to be here on Sunday afternoons. I just had to do a bit earlier today because my brother's birthday today, so I need to leave in a moment to attend his birthday celebrations. But hopefully it'll be around the same time, 5 o'clock each Sunday, except for maybe Christmas Day. But otherwise, all the other Sundays, let's try and make it work.
And we could easily do a short live at 5. Actually, that could be quite lovely. Perhaps you and I can discuss that, Rachel, from the practice group. We seem to be branching out a little bit with the live streams. So it's actually quite gorgeous, I think, seeing some new faces around. So we're going to chat about that this week. And please keep your comments coming, guys. We love your questions. We love your interest. So let them flow and we'll touch back in later on.
Yeah. All right. Take care, everybody. And we will see you again very soon.
Thanks, Rachel.
Okay. Thanks, Alexis.
Bye, guys.
Bye.